Has your super balance taken a hit since the start of the conflict in the Middle East, and what should you do about it? An expert in to answer your questions.
Get your footy fix with ABC AFL Daily Podcast. Corbin Middlemass and Ben Cameron are joined by a cast of AFL legends to pull apart the biggest stories in Aussie rules. Search for the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on ABC Listen.
1300 222 612. Stuff you need to know. It's on a Tuesday, Arvo. Advice and tips and hacks to make your life better. Today, a financial planner in session, ready to answer your questions about your superannuation. If it's taken a hit since the start of the conflict, maybe you're contributing more than you need to your superannuation fund, worried about what to do, we can give you general advice. 1300 222 612. 18 minutes past 5.
612 ABC Radio Brisbane. Have your say. Call 1300 222 612.
I haven't dared to look at my super balance since the start of the conflict in the Middle East just 3 long weeks ago. A lot of people, though, ringing their superannuation fund, asking basic questions about whether to pull their money out, to go to cash, what to do. Phil McGann is a financial planner here to answer my questions and yours. 1300 222 612 is the number. Philip, friends of mine who are retired, talking on the weekend about how much their super balance has dropped, thinking of pulling out the money and putting it in the bank or under the mattress. Good idea or not?
No, terrible idea.
Right.
Terrible idea. Basically, got to keep in mind there's two sort of concepts we're looking at. Superannuation is not an investment class by itself. It's a tax structure. The investment you have inside your super is what's giving all the volatility, giving you the returns and the income over time. So just because things have been a bit hairy of late, you don't pull everything out of super, which is a very tax effective, particularly in retirement, a tax-free environment. Trying to get it back in, you can't get it back in very invariably, easily. So, yes, the old adage of taking it all out and putting it in a bank account for a steady return, you might as well leave it in super and put it into something a little bit more defensive, which may be a cash option or a defensive option, rather than a growth option, which a lot of people have in there.
So when you ring your super fund, they'll say, well, how aggressive how much risk do you want us to take with your retirement savings?
Correct.
And you can say, bloody no risk at all, thank you very much.
You can. So basically when you look on your online, you can log into your superannuation account or give them a call, and invariably they have things such as a pre-mixed option. You can have a balanced option or a growth option or a high growth or defensive, or they'll have cash. You can actually put money in cash, and it's literally like a bank account inside your superannuation fund, and you'll get an interest return on it. It might be 3%, 3.5%, something like that. But the issue is that you're potentially selling out now at a poor time in the market. You don't know where the market's going in the very short term. No one does.
It could bounce back. It could get worse.
Back. Well, look what happened last night. I mean, with a couple of announcements from Mr. Trump, President Trump, the oil price fell 10% and the share market in the US jumped about 1.5%, 2% in a couple of minutes. The point is that it's a very volatile time. And if you're very concerned, you've got to keep in mind that this is long-term investing. You're invested or you're retired for a long, long time. Don't jump at shadows, so to speak. The market's not real great at the moment, but it hasn't collapsed away dramatically as much as maybe what we saw during COVID or when we saw in the GFC. Those sorts of contexts. And there's always going to be something, Ellen. At the moment it's this. Last year it was, at the moment it's the Iran war. Last year it was the Gaza situation. 4 years ago it was Ukraine. There's always something going on. You've got to ask yourself, am I invested maybe too aggressively to start with if you can't handle the volatility when times get a bit hairy like now?
Yeah, on the text line, Samantha says, woohoo. Does people often say that to you, a financial planner?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
You walk in and they say, woohoo, he's the financial planner. Been waiting on superannuation advice. I've dropped $12,000 in the last 2 weeks. Now, just before we go on, we've got some questions on the text line here. When you say, if you pull it out, right? So, first of all, if you're under 60, can you pull it out?
No, you can't. Basically, superannuation is preserved until you're, for most people, 60, and then you've got to meet a condition to actually get the money out of super, so to pull it out. Invariably, you set it up into an account-based pension to actually draw income regularly. But you've got to be over 60 and retired to actually pull your money out of super. So I think what people are thinking when they say that is that they want to actually pull it out of the volatile share market and go into something defensive like cash.
And you're saying you can do that within the super super fund. There's no need to come out. No. Okay, now say you're over 60, you are retired, you got the yips and you pulled it all out. What is the tax disadvantage of doing that?
Well, the tax disadvantage is inside a superannuation account after the age of 60 and you're retired, so you're in a pension account. So it's a tax-free environment. There's no tax on the earnings in the fund. There's no tax on the money you draw out of super. So if you panicked and thought this is too volatile and you can't sleep at night, you pull it all out and I'll put it in the bank account, well, you earn interest in a bank account and you've got to pay tax on that interest that you earn. If you've got a big enough balance and you are above the threshold, you'll start paying tax. Inside super, in a cash account, you don't pay any tax and the return is the same or very similar to a cash account outside of super. Is the same as inside super, so to speak. Right.
So you're better off if you want to go to cash, you can go to cash inside the fund, and it's a much more tax advantaged environment.
That is, and it's very difficult to get it back in, Ellen. And if you're worried down the track, well, I'll just put it back in later. You're too old to get it in potentially, or you've got limits of what you can get in. It's a lifetime asset you've built up.
Do nothing dramatic. 24 minutes past 5 on 612 ABC Brisbane. Listen to this on the text line. In talking to you on stuff you need to know, Phil McGann, financial planner. One pointed question, says this person, if I have a cash surplus, no mortgage and working for another 10 years, do I, this question could go anywhere, dance a bloody jig if I were you, do I capitalise on the market downturn and add more cash?
That's not bad. I mean, but now again, this is general information, not giving specific advice to individuals, but when you're thinking about the market has come off in a big way, it's down, the Australian share market's off about 7% for the month. But we all love a sale. We go up to the stores and there's a sale on, you think really good. The share market is on sale at the moment. So you are getting the same asset for 7% cheaper than you could have 4 weeks ago. Is that a good thing to do? It depends on your situation and your overall strategy and what you're trying to achieve. So you'd have to know more about the person's situation.
Listen to this on the text line. Frank from Fairfield. I'm due to retire in 18 months. And I'm worried the Middle East conflict is denting my super savings. I'm thinking of switching to a more conservative investment option or even cash inside super to avoid further losses. But I worry this will lock in the losses I've taken to date. Will it?
It will, because your superannuation balance you see on the screen, that's what your value is now. And if you told the super fund, put it into cash, put it into defensive, that's what they'll put into defensive. What you're really doing, and people don't think this through, is you're deciding today's the best time to sell. This will be the best time and the market will fall away a bit further and then you'll jump back in. But when will you jump back in? You can't be in cash forever. You can't be in defensive assets forever because the returns are too low over your lifetime. And you need growth in your super balance, even in retirement, to pay the ongoing income that you draw out, the fees, etc., and inflation. You need to pay for inflation over time. So if you're only getting 3 to 4% on your cash, that's not going to last you too long and your money will slowly erode. That's why you need some growth assets in there as well.
Okay, 26 minutes now past 5. Listen to this, though, from John at Kingston. He's feeling pretty happy. He's as happy with his decision as I am with my EV, which I'm trying not to skite about. I changed my super to cash the day Trumpety-Dumpety pulled the trigger. That's him saying that, not me. I've not lost anything. About to retire in a few months. Okay, so he's feeling happy.
That's good. I mean, good luck to him. That's wonderful. But as well, he can't stay in cash forever, so he's got to have to decide when he's going to go into some more growth assets as well. Again, because as soon as he retires, he has to draw out a certain amount out of his super fund. If he's 65, it's 5%. So if he's got it in cash, it's only returning 3.5%, well, his super balance is gradually declining and the real value of it, as inflation eats it away as well. So he needs to make that other decision of when he will go back in.
1300 222 612. Have you got questions about your superannuation? You can text them through as well. 0467 922 612, 1300 222 612. I'd love to hear your voice. People are reluctant to talk about their financial position. We're not worried about that. Call yourself Trumpety-Dumpety if you like. Phil McGann is in. He's a financial planner. Listen to this one, another on the text line. Sophia from Mango Hill, 58, salary sacrificing into an accumulation fund. Even though the balance has only gone down a small amount, she's worried that if the war kicks on, it's prolonged, the retirement savings will take a bigger hit. Here's the question: does it make sense to ease up on my extra contributions to super if I risk them disappearing in a sliding market? By the way, I have a small mortgage left on my house, which I want to clear as soon as possible.
It's a question I get asked often. Should I put money towards a mortgage or money into super? Usually the super is a good idea from the point of view it's tax effective to get money into super, and the return on your super over time tends to be higher than the mortgage rate on your home loan. Again, individual circumstances will dictate what you should do. But if you're already salary sacrificing money into super, you're actually buying assets, growth assets, shares, at a lower price than they were a month ago. So keep doing what you're doing, and you've got to, this is a long-term road. It's not something over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. This is your retirement you're talking about. Yeah. This is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years' time.
Even if she intends to retire in the next 2 years.
You've still got to be invested in assets and growth assets over time, even when you're in a retirement. You can't get to retirement and then stick all the money in defensive again because the returns will be too low over the longer term.
612 ABC Brisbane.
Traffic.
At the moment, got a breakdown with crews on site in the city, Skew Street northbound, left lane after William Jolly Bridge. Some minor delays there. Got a breakdown at Ormo, M1 southbound in the shoulder after Eggersdorf Road, and a breakdown at Tingalpa Gateway southbound before Wynnum Road. Traffic's back to Eagle Farm. We've had an incident at the Warringah Highway eastbound before Fords Road at Gatton. A truck had ignited there and caught fire. That's been extinguished, thankfully, so just got that news just in. It's been put out. No injuries, no serious injuries. The driver got out okay. Eastbound traffic is under traffic control. Minor delays. Westbound lanes are unaffected. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Thanks so much for that. We're going to pause now for the news at 5:30, taking more of your calls on your super after that, 5:30.
Everything Brisbane.
It was such an iconic wedding and party venue.
It's where your passions lie.
The Brisbane that I know is vibrant, modern and progressive.
It's when and where you need us. 612 ABC Brisbane.
ABC News, good afternoon. I'm Jessica Van Vonderen. The Federal Energy Minister says a temporary change to Australia's diesel standards will increase supply and boost flexibility for refineries. The 6-month adjustment slightly lowers the flashpoint for handling and storage. Chris Bowen says it won't affect engines or emissions. He's told Parliament it's a practical way to address supply issues stemming from the Iran war.
Today, this flashpoint decision, which will see additional diesel supply into Australia, which will see increased supply from our refiners as well, increased flexibility for our refiners. These are practical measures taken by a government taking action in the face of international uncertainty.
The government recently lowered quality standards for petrol to help put downward pressure on prices. That'll last until late May. The Coalition has unveiled a new website for the public to report fuel shortages. It says the federal government's been too slow to deal with supply issues. National Senator Bridget McKenzie says it'll serve as a community platform and has urged the Energy Minister to take note.
This website, which is live right now, allows everyday Australians to report where the bowsers are running dry and where the bowsers' price is too high. We have launched this in an effort to help us, Chris Bowen, help you.
Iranian officials are reportedly reviewing a potential yet unconfirmed diplomatic opening with the US on ending the Middle East war. Linda Gruen reports.
Earlier today, US President Donald Trump announced that there had been talks with the top Iranian official about bringing the war to an end. He says there's a 15-point plan and that they might meet in person soon. Shortly after his announcement, Iranian authorities denied the claims and say it's all fake news to bring oil prices down. But now CBS News says a senior Iranian foreign ministry official has told the broadcaster exclusively that they've received points from the US through mediators, adding that they are being reviewed. Strikes across the Middle East have meanwhile continued, with Israel saying it's been battering the Iranian capital.
Back home, the Queensland Government has flagged a range of tougher fines to go with its e-mobility crackdown. The penalty for riding an e-bike or e-scooter without a helmet or illegally carrying a passenger will jump from $166 to $500. Speeding fines will almost double. They'll range from $333 to $751. The legislation is set to be introduced to state parliament this week. Deputy Opposition Leader Cameron Dick says Labor still wants to see the specifics of the bill before finalising their position.
There are tens of thousands of these devices across Queensland, so Queenslanders will want to know that if the law is going to have any meaning and going to have any effect, that it's going to be appropriately implemented, and that's one of the things we'll be questioning the government about.
The ACTU insists a 5% increase in the minimum wage would have a minimal impact on inflation. The union group has lodged its annual submission to the Fair Work Commission. It seeks to lift the basic wage to just over $26 an hour for roughly 3 million Australians on award-set pay. Secretary Sally McManus says it's achievable, sustainable and affordable.
Whilst it's 23% of people, remember, they're low paid, a lot of casual, a lot of part-time people there. So even if those workers had a really large pay increase, it's not going to affect inflation for everyone.
Australia and the European Union have struck a long-awaited free trade deal. It's expected to boost Australia's economy by $10 billion a year and eliminates tariffs on 98% of Australian exports to the EU. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the EU Commission Chief signed the landmark agreement this morning at Parliament House in Canberra. Ursula von der Leyen says it's a defining moment for the two regions.
Today, we are telling an important story to a world that is deeply changing. A world where great powers are using tariffs as a leverage and supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
Queensland's weather, showers and possible storms tomorrow for northern Cape York, isolated showers for the southern Gulf Coast and eastern districts south of Bundaberg, mostly fine elsewhere, Brisbane partly cloudy. And I'll have more news, sport and weather at 7 o'clock on ABC TV. Hope you can join me then.
From weather emergencies to sporting victories, if it matters in Brisbane, you'll hear it on 612 ABC Radio Brisbane.
Hello, Samantha Donovan here on PM at 6:05. Australia deepens its ties with Europe, signing a new security partnership and a free trade agreement worth $10 billion a year. Also, more than 35,000 teachers on strike in Victoria and Tasmania, demanding better pay. And Australian musician Mick Harvey awarded one of France's top cultural honours.
He can be tough, but he is one of the most generous and committed collaborators you'll ever find.
I love you. That's PM just after the 6 o'clock news.
612 ABC Radio Brisbane. Have your say. Call 1300 222 612.
Taking your calls on what to do about your superannuation. Have you looked up your balance lately? Perhaps don't if you haven't. Could be a bit of a shock as a result of the actions in the Middle East. Phil McGann in to answer your questions this afternoon. First of all, Emma on the line from Callum Vale. What's your question for Phil?
Hi, Phil. My question is, I'm 30 years old and I've been putting about $150 away a month for my superannuation just to kind of help myself in the future. But I want to know, am I better off putting that money towards my home loan, or am I better just to continue putting it towards my super? Where is it best going, I suppose?
Very good question. It's something I come across quite often. What you'll find is that it's about the tax benefits you get as well. If you're salary sacrificing money into super instead of money going into your bank account, you're actually paying superannuation tax rates at 15 cents on the dollar, not your marginal tax rate at potentially 30 cents on the dollar. So straight away you get a tax benefit therein. So if you then put it into superannuation, generally speaking, the super return has been better over time, not in the last few weeks, but over time then probably the home loan mortgage rate that you've got. So you might be paying home loan rates of about 6% and a lot of balance funds in superannuation over the last 10 years have probably been averaging around 9% per annum returns.
So in other words, you're making more out of that money.
Correct.
Then you're making a 9% return, but the cost of running your mortgage is only 6%. So
Correct.
you're 3% better off to keep it in super. Yeah. That assumes, Emma, that you're not too stretched with your mortgage, I suppose.
Well, I've got a substantial amount left on it, but I'm wanting to, focus on that as well, just because I know that it'll be valued a lot more now with the housing market, because I bought that 5 years ago. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I should just be putting that money towards that instead. And I don't necessarily salary sacrifice. I actually just take it out after I've been paid and put it towards it.
Right. So when you say you take it out, you put it into the mortgage after you've been paid, or do you mean you put the money into superannuation after you've been paid?
Super.
Yes, if you're doing it after tax into super, you're actually paying marginal tax rate on it. Then you're not paying as it goes into super, but you may be better off to do the salary sacrifice. Look, it's probably worthwhile maybe to have a chat to a financial planner or even have a chat to your accountant to sort of work out the figures. Keep in mind though, if you put money into super, it's a tax effective way, but it is locked away. You've got 30 years till you can get that money back, so it's compounding away, which is good. If you put money into your mortgage, you can get it back next week because you can draw it back out of your mortgage on some sort of redraw.
And it sort of depends whether you value the flexibility of having access to that money or not, Emma. But, gee, you got yourself in a good position, haven't you? Bought the house at 25 or a unit at 25 and putting money away for super. Go you.
Yeah, I got very, very lucky. I bought just before house prices went up, so I was very, very lucky.
Yeah. Wonderful, that's great.
Good on you, Emma. I reckon she's right. There'll be haves and have-nots, who bought before COVID and who bought after COVID, and you'll be able to divide the population of young people up across that line. Steve's on the line from Tewantin at 21 minutes to 6. Steve, what's your question for Phil?
Hi, Phil.
Yes, Steve.
Hi. So I'm in retirement phase, 67, self-funded, and in my super account, there's part of it is a taxable component, and part of it is tax-free. And I know you can do a withdrawal recontribution strategy because I've done that a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And I plan to do it again shortly. But my question is, let's say half of the amount in there was taxable. If I withdraw a dollar value that's equivalent to that half of the total balance, take it out to a bank account and then recontribute it back in, will that wash out the taxable component? Does that?
Now you two know what you're talking about, but just for the rest of us, the withdrawal recontribution strategy in retirement, what's the benefit of doing that? And then to his question.
Right. Basically, what we're getting at there is when you put money into superannuation as a normal taxpayer, your employer puts funds in, it goes in and it's actually taxed at 15 cents. It's a tax component. So it's a taxable component, and if you put money in after tax, it's a tax-free component. It sits in your superannuation. It stays that way into retirement. If you die and pass those funds on to your spouse, there's no tax. If you pass it on to a non-dependent, like an adult child, you actually pay 17 cents in the dollar tax on that tax component. Some people say there's no inheritance tax in Australia.
Yeah.
There is. That's it.
Exactly.
The way you can do it is to actually pull money out of super when you're able to, so you're old enough to actually pull it out and you're still young enough to put it back in. So you're washing the money through. It's called a recontribution strategy. It's a bit convoluted, but it's a very tax-effective thing to do. And what you're getting at there is if you pull money out, it actually comes proportionally, but from both sides of the fund, the tax components and the taxable. So you can't say, right, I'm taking $1,000 out and it's coming from this side. No, it comes proportionally. So you just have to work the facts and figures out. You have you done it before? And so your bring forward amounts are going to reset again as of 1 July, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're in the clear as far as the bring forward amounts, but we're at in this case, it's not
for sure.
anywhere near that.
So, look, I think that's good idea, but something that you need some input and advice on as well.
Yeah, sure.
There's an interesting one. Barb's at Wynnum this afternoon. What's your super question, Barb?
Yeah, hi there. My husband and I are recently retired, And we have not yet started a pension with my husband's funds in accumulation. 2 weeks ago, I changed 50% of it over to conservative balanced, and I lost a bit of money, but the remainder I've left in balanced. I'm just wondering if you think that's a fair way of approaching it to ensure I've got some money still being in there for the long term to be in more high growth investment.
Okay, Bob.
It's hard. I mean, the markets are volatile at the moment, as we've been talking about, but you've got to think longer term. You've got to make sure your money is invested appropriately as you go on. You've got half of it in defensive now, which is great. So you haven't seen half your money be impacted by the recent market correction. So having the rest in balance, you've probably got about, of that balance fund, 75% is in growth. The rest is in defensive. So, you've got probably less than half in growth assets, so it's not getting as impacted at the moment. So I think that's fine. You want to set that pension up as soon as you're able to, because it's all tax-free earnings after that.
Yeah, and a reminder that this is general advice in
Very
nature.
much general.
Unfortunately, Barbie doesn't have a crystal ball. I wish he did, don't you?
I know, yes, absolutely. It's very nerve-wracking at the moment. But
I bet
don't panic too much, and just look to the future, and things will work themselves out.
Okay, another call from Brad at Albany Creek. What's your question for Phil?
Hi, Phil. Thanks for taking the call.
That's okay, Brad.
I'm 55, wife 53. We'll be working for another 10, 12 years minimum. We've got 330 left on our owner-occupier mortgage. Do we, on about $1 million property, so it's not excessive, but it's not trivial either. Is it better to pay it off immediately or over the next 4 or 5, whatever it takes, or wait until that age where there's a taxable offset or something like that with the mortgage?
But basically what you're getting at there is it's better off to pay the mortgage down quickly. Now, have you got some funds, or you're talking about actually putting a lot more of your wage into your mortgage to pay it more rapidly than you are?
The latter.
The latter,
so
right?
Pump money into the house or pump money into super?
Yep, great question.
Yeah, the same idea. The return in super, generally speaking, has been better than the return on mortgages, and the tax-effective nature of putting money into super is better. The previous caller was the same scenario, but the difference is you're very close to retirement, right? So I think she was about 30-odd years from retirement. You're closer to 8 to 10 years away. Don't be panicked too much by the market volatility at the moment. Superannuation is a tax structure. It's not an investment as such, so putting money in can be tax effective for you.
Thank you.
That's okay.
As I approach, one very quick question, sorry to keep on going. As we hit 64, 65 or nearing that age, isn't there some type of benefit around paying off the mortgage at that later stage or something like that?
He's looking confused. He doesn't reckon.
No, I'm just thinking...
no, I don't know that either.
No.
Sorry, Phil. Thank you.
That's okay. No dramas.
There you go. Final call is Lynette from Ormo Hill has called in. What's keeping you up at night, Lynette?
Yes, so I am turning 59 this year, and I still have a mortgage, so I'm hoping to pay that mortgage off in about 5 years.
Righto.
But part of me paying that mortgage off means I have to take about 80,000, maybe 90,000 from my super to pay the mortgage off, because I really do, life's too short, and I really do want to finish work sooner rather than till 67. What keeps me up at night is, at the moment, with my calculations, I hit the sweet spot where I've just got enough super to actually get the full age pension. My fear is that the government change the rules, and I'm going to end up, because I've taken that 90,000 from my super, I'm going to end up with not enough money if they say, okay, they're taking away.
Yeah, good question. This is a great question.
If anything, you may be more qualified for the age pension because your home is exempt from the asset test. You know? So if you're basically taking money out of your... if you're taking money out of your superannuation balance will be lower. All things being equal, you will qualify quicker for the age pension or get a full age pension or a large part age pension because your home, you're using the funds to actually pay your mortgage off on the property. You still have 8 years to go. The actual thresholds will move. The government will actually adjust them for inflation over the next 8 years as well. So keep that in mind when you're trying to calculate things through.
And it's very hard to make decisions on what they might do, putting their home into the asset test. You just you don't know about that.
They may change that. Is that your concern, Lynette?
Yeah, that's what keeps me up. So, for example, they're definitely changing capital gains tax for investment properties. I don't have a property, so I don't have to worry. But what worries me is because I'm taking a chunk of my super to pay my house, I do end up with more pension, and I'm retiring, obviously, for the 4 years that I want to retire before 67.
Yeah, I get the idea. What if they change the rules on it?
We don't know whether the government will change the rules on that side. It would be a very brave government to actually incorporate the family home into the age pension asset test. That might be a bridge too far for most of them. Changing negative gearing, capital gains tax discounts on investment property is one thing, but taking all that cohort of people who have a family home and making it subject to the asset test for the age pension, that's a big decision.
I wouldn't be losing sleep over that one. You never know what could happen, but that'd be way down on your bingo card of unlikely government decisions. I hope you have a better night's sleep tonight. Great to meet you, Phil. Thanks for coming in.
No problems, Ellen. Thanks very much.
Check